peace.
I really do not think that Israel's main failing in post October 7th had to do very much with its outreach effort, with its attempt to change hearts and minds. I think that the failure came well before October 7th. I mean, I've been saying this as long as I've been talking about this issue, is that Israel has always made the mistake, this is true since Oslo, of basically treating its opposition as rational and humane, which is totally insane. I mean, the very premise of Oslo, which is that you have somebody on the other side of the table who you can make a deal with, who actually wants peace, that premise is bound for failure. And then when it fails, everybody already has a stake in Oslo. And so because they have a stake in Oslo, then that means that they're going to continue to maintain the fiction that actually on the other side of the table is somebody rational and humane. There was never anybody rational and humane on the other side of the table. It was Yasser Arafat, an arch terrorist. And that was followed by Mahmoud Abbas, a Holocaust denier. And that was followed by Hamas and Islamic Jihad and Fatah. So, I mean, well, it was totally, Israel has made a crucial error in attempting to convince the rest of the world that it is justified because it is peace-seeking, as opposed to it's justified because its enemies are actually quite evil. In the aftermath of October 7th, there was a brief recognition that Israel's enemies were evil. And then it turns out that went away very quickly because many, many people were just waiting for Israel to actually fight back because, as everybody who's ever watched the politics in the Middle East knows, the minute that Israel starts fighting, the clock begins. And then it's just a question of how long the clock runs until people full-scale turn against Israel. And so for me, the big mistake that Israel made has nothing to do with its sort of the way it discusses the war or anything else. It has much more, at least not after October 7th. There are underlying failures of Israel to even acknowledge the realities on the ground. Those failures, by the way, are not just with regard to outreach to areas outside Israel. Those failures are embedded in Israeli policy. I mean, if it had not been for the failure to understand Hamas, there would have been no pullout from the Gaza Strip. If there had not been failure to understand how the Palestinian Authority runs, there wouldn't have been funding of the PA for years. I mean, like this is a full-scale failure of Israelis to understand their opposition or willingness. I think there was understanding, but I think there was an unwillingness, an understandable unwillingness to try and overlook that in favor of any solution that would not require people to be fighting battles in the Gaza Strip or Jenin. And it turns out that, failure to recognize reality means that you end up fighting in Gaza Strip and Jenin, no matter whether you like it or not, and for far higher stakes and with much worse consequences. So the big mistake that Israel made is they should have gone fast. They should have gone hard. They should have finished this war inside the first few months. They should not have stopped for love or money. There was again, an understandable, but incredibly difficult situation Israel placed itself in because Israel decided that the hostages and winning the war were simultaneously equivalent priorities. You cannot have two priorities in war. Either your priority is to win or your priority is to get the hostages out. And so as soon as those were established as co-equal goals of the war, you're going to come to the end of the war and you're going to be made to choose between one of them. That seems to be the situation right now.